rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate.
Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. MMK chapter 4 verse 4. Where physicality is truly present, a cause of physicality is impossible. Where physicality is truly absent, a cause of physicality is impossible. So I've been looking forward to comments on this because I think I understand what it means, which is it's probably a red flag, judging from past experience. In 2 years' time, I should probably think that the understanding I'm going to express now was very superficial. I've missed the deeper hidden meaning. But one thing I do feel confident about is that having explored the meaning of this for a couple of years, even without thinking about it, living out here in France, enjoying my recent incarnation as a dung beetle, etc., I've understood that rūpa is not only what Nagarjuna means by rūpa. Is not only some kind of Buddhist category of, like somebody who's studying his PhD will do his PhD on the meaning of rūpa. No, it means physicality. It has real meaning. So rūpa doesn't exist as a thing unto itself. It's empty, but it's real. Physicality is real. So think of how the Buddha's preaching was, the metaphor people use for the Buddha's preaching, the lion's roar. If you want to hear a lion's roar, go on YouTube and Google Morio Higaonna Sensei. He was my old karate teacher, and you listen to him do a kiai, hiya, and then counting to 10, ichi. I can't. No, that's pathetic. I can hear it, but I can't imitate it. Which is the point, you see, because once we understand how physical the Buddha's teaching was, how grounded he was in physicality, the temptation is you want to imitate it. But what the whole of MMK is about is saying, well, how it begins, pratitya. You observe the power of the Buddha's teaching, and instead of imitating it, which is what you do if you try and put on a good show of having a good upright posture, go back to what caused it. And there wasn't a cause of it. That's what these verses are saying. The Buddha's preaching, like the roar of a lion, was dependently arisen. So what we should do is go back to what the Buddha went back to. And the Buddha became the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree when he really understood the meaning of the dependent arising of suffering. So that's what we should go back and explore. But exploring doesn't mean studying like a PhD in Buddhist studies, who sits there with a weak little voice and talks about the analysis of skandhas. No, that's not. There's no physicality there, so that's missing the point, as I understand it. But perhaps because coming from a lineage of coal miners, steel workers, and Welsh rugby players, perhaps I'm just playing to my strength in emphasising the physicality of what Nagarjuna is saying here. But I don't think so. So you see, again, it goes back to if you go back to what the Buddha went back to, or what the Buddha recommended us to go back to, in the Maha Satipatthana Sutta, the sutra of the discourse, the great discourse on mindfulness, on the foundations of mindfulness, or the abodes of mindfulness. Sabakaya pati samvedi asasi samiti sikati. One trains oneself with the integral awareness of sabakaya, the whole body. So what that means, integral awareness of the whole body, that's awareness, pati samvedi. Samvid means to be integrally aware. Vid means to know. So samvid means to know together. Prati means back, so it's reflective. Reflective integral awareness of the whole body. So the principles of the Alexander technique are in there as well. So it's using thinking or awareness to inform the body. And Marjorie Barlow, I heard her say many times, the whole body informed with thought. So that's physicality. The whole body being informed with thought. So informed with thought, in that phrase, is not what Nishijima Sensei thought of as thought, which is the white man's superior intellect, or the superior intellect of the Jew. That's how Nishijima Sensei wasn't anti-Semitic whatsoever. He looked up. He wasn't against white people. In the sense, he didn't have any negative feelings towards them. It was more he admired the white person's great intellect, and especially what he saw the great intellect, the intelligence of Jews. But he thought there was he thought that we were good at intellectual thinking, but we weren't so good in the practical area, the area of practical action. But what Alexander work is about is really bridging thinking and action. But it's not thinking what Nishijima Sensei thought of as thinking, because you can't inform your whole body with intellectual thoughts. It's more wishing or volition. But again, as Nelly Benor memorably said, it's wishing that won't take no for an answer. It's not wishy-washy wishing. Let the neck be free to let the head go forward and up, to let the back lengthen and widen, sending the knees forwards and away. And as I was saying those words, I was remembering what Marjorie emphasised again and again. It's not wishy-washy wishing. It's wishing that won't take no for an answer, but it's totally divorced from doing. That's a difficult thing to understand. When I remembered that, hey presto, my breathing deepened, it worked. So difficult to explain. What you really need is the experience again and again of going wrong, of trying to do the directions and finding that doesn't work. And then when you stop trying to do them, when you just think the words, just think them without trying to do them, then they work their magic. So it's, Marjorie said, thinking educates feeling. Feeling educates the body. It's indirect. You can't do it directly. That's what happens when you try and imitate the lion's roar. You look like an idiot because you're just doing it directly. You're end gaining in your effort to imitate, to be like the Buddha, who wasn't end gaining in the slightest, but was relying on a process and relying on understanding that went back to pratitya samutpada, dependent arising, or in other words, emptiness. So the first line and the second line here, which is interesting in itself, are exactly the same when you listen to them. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. So you can't hear any difference, but the difference is that in the second line, the a of asati, saty means being present. Present participle of sat, which, the locative of sat, which is the present participle of the verbal root as, to be. So sati means being present. And asati means not being present or being absent. But when you have e and then a, the a is dropped. So rūpe saty and rūpe asati with sandhi are both rūpe saty. And rūpe saty is locative absolute. So rūpa means physicality. Rūpe is locative of rūpa. Rūpasya means where physicality is present. And rūpe saty also means where physicality is absent. The a of asati there being dropped. Then eva is emphatic. So I'm going to translate it truly. Rūpe satyeva, where physicality is truly present. Or in the second line, where physicality is truly absent. And what I'm going to suggest is to understand the first line, we should understand sabakaya pati samvedi asasi sami. I will breathe in with reflective integral awareness of the whole body. So that's physicality being truly present. That's what I experienced most clearly lying on Marjorie Barlow's teaching table and exploring the movement, exploring in the first instance the freedom not to move, and then freedom in moving a leg. That was like real laboratory exploration of what physicality is, of physicality truly being present there. But there again, on a more gross level, I've been exploring physicality all my life through sport and martial arts training. And again, as the sun comes out, and I enjoy the physical sensation of being lit by the sunlight. I'm aware of how much I just enjoyed half an hour or so of shoveling horse manure. And it occurred to me with a smile that I've been fortunate to experience quite a lot of time in each of the realms of samsara. When in my first year of doing karate training at uni, the karate teacher nicknamed me Adonis because I was blonde haired and did weight training and so on. So the Greek god, and because I was captain of the karate club, that gave me a little bit of extra kudos with women, and I ended up going out with a woman who, to my eyes, was the best looking woman that was in the karate club. So again, it was a bit of an experience of being like a god, really. Needless to say, followed in due course by plenty of experience of being in hell and various kinds of animal existence. But of those animal existences, I now found myself enjoying an incarnation as a dung beetle when I'm shoveling horse manure, and I must say I rather enjoy it. Much better, actually, than being a god. I'm digressing. So, the first line, rūpe satyeva, where physicality is truly present, that's the first stage in the Sutra of Mindfulness. Then the Buddha goes on, pasambayam kaya sankāraṇ asasi samiti sikkati. Pasambayam kaya sankāraṇ pasasi samiti sikkati. One trains oneself with the thought, I will breathe in, allowing the samskara of a body to cease. I will breathe out, allowing the samskara of a body to cease. So I think that is what he means by here. Nagarjuna means where physicality is truly absent. Rūpe satyeva. So one way of understanding physicality is truly absent is, when a Buddhist scholar is in his dark, lonely room, and with his glasses like bottoms of Coke bottles, he's looking in a dictionary for the word rūpa. In that situation, physicality is not conspicuously present. But I don't think the second line means that. I think what it means is when the centre half, I think of John Terry in the World Cup a couple of tournaments ago, when he absolutely heroically flings himself at the ball and does a sort of scissors kick to get the ball off the line with no second thought of his own well-being or safety, just totally committed to that action of clearing the ball off the line. That's an example of where physicality is truly absent. In other words, you totally lost consciousness. So John Terry, again, a huge physical presence as a sportsman. But the reason we love sports is we see a guy like that who wants the same as England supporters want. He wants to stop the goal. And to that end, he just absolutely puts his body on the line. So not conscious of his own safety, so he's very physically conscious, but losing conscious of one's physical self in doing what's necessary for the team. I think that's what it means. Or if we think about what it meant for Buddhist monks, Buddhist monks in China, by which I mean true Buddhist monks, not ones that are married and have had a ceremony, but the real ones, not the fakes. They would have done their share of digging and planting and weeding and so on, physical work. But the monks of the Buddha's time, if you look at the Buddha's history, if you're interested in that, then ancient Buddhist texts.net by Ananda Jyoti Bhikkhu is a fantastic resource. You can see even as an old man, the Buddha resolved to walk dozens and dozens of miles back to his the town of his birth, Kapilavastu. He didn't actually get there, but even as an old man, he was walking miles and miles every day. So you can imagine that would have been a physical, a time for exploring physicality. As also, of course, sitting in lotus is an opportunity to explore physicality. So in other words, dropping off body and mind, rūpe satyeva, where physicality is truly absent. I think it means what Master Dogen described as body and mind dropping off, forgetting oneself, in other words. So where physicality is truly present, a cause, kāraṇaṃ, nominative singular neuter, kāraṇaṃ, a cause, of physicality, rūpasya, is impossible. Nopapadyate, na plus upapadyate. So upapadyate means it happens, it is possible, it takes place, it occurs. Nopapadyate doesn't happen, it's impossible. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Where physicality is truly present, a cause of physicality is impossible. Rūpe saty eva, where physicality is truly present. Rūpasya kāraṇaṃ, a cause of physicality, nopapadyate, is impossible. So what is being denied there is a self-existing, non-empty cause, I think. So the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, or a better example perhaps, the Buddha having sat under the Bodhi tree, turning the Dharma wheel and letting the lion's roar be heard at that time, what caused it? So you could say, well, the cause was that he was enlightened. And we can think that in our brains that there was an event called enlightenment, and that was a cause of his physicality. But that is a non-empty understanding of what enlightenment is. If we think of it as a separate thing, a better understanding is that what happened under the Bodhi tree is that a change took place, such as, well, figuratively it's expressed as the earth shook and gods sent petals of flowers raining down and so on. So it wasn't an isolated thing that took place in the Buddha's body and mind. It was a realization of emptiness. And where emptiness prevails, a cause, kāraṇaṃ singular, is impossible. Because a cause, a singular cause, is a non-empty thing. And in emptiness, where emptiness prevails, a single anything is impossible. I think that's what the second half of the line means. So then the second line, the same thing. Rūpe saty, where physicality. And with sandhi, rūpe saty becomes rūpe saty. And ever truly. Where physicality is truly absent, rūpe satyeva, a cause of physicality, rūpasya kāraṇaṃ, is impossible, nopapadyate. So it's the same logic as the first line. When a person drops off body and mind, when John Terry flings himself at the ball as he's just about to go into the goal, what is the cause of John Terry's physicality at that moment? Well, you could say it was the nurturing of Mr. and Mrs. Terry from these very early days, taking him to play football and buying him football boots and feeding him porridge every morning or whatever else they gave him for breakfast, and then all the coaches at the youth coaches that helped him, as he was growing up. So in short, there was not one cause of it. I mean, talking as a reflex inhibition therapist, I would suggest that his mum allowed him to crawl around and explore to the full extent when he was little. Then you could talk about his genetic inheritance on his father's side especially, that gave him his athletic body, and so on and so forth. So the point is that a cause, if you think there was one particular cause of his physicality, when his physicality was truly absent at that moment of committing himself to an action, that's wrong. There isn't a cause, because a cause would be a non-empty thing. I'm labouring the point. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Where physicality is truly present, a cause of physicality is impossible. Where physicality is truly absent, a cause of physicality is impossible.
Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate. Rūpe satyeva rūpasya kāraṇaṃ nopapadyate.